company. Ordinarily, two's company. But contrarily, we disagree, no matter what it happens to be.
You're the perverse one.
I agonize
Night and day with you.
to compromise.
There's no way with you.
I wish I had picked a large boa constrictor, my friend.
Are you trying to tell me something?
You're the perverse one, two's company.
Indisputably.
Two's company.
Irrefutably.
How we embark on old Noah's Ark, pair by pair.
Not so loud.
So ask me whose company.
Whenever I choose company.
I gotta say, two's company.
Except for this affair.
You give me mal de mer.
Do you know what that means?
Could we let in some fresh air?
No, madam.
Au contraire.
Boy, you left the wrong paper.
Good morning, Robert.
Oh, good morning, madam. And how are you this fine morning?
Oh, I have to face one of those boring amateur literary soirees tonight, God help me.
You have my sympathy, madam.
Thank you. The morning paper.
No, madam.
Yes, it was.
Morning paper?
Well, isn't it? Wasn't it?
Yes.
What's the matter with you, Robert?
You must have misunderstood me, madam.
Oh. Would you bring the paper into the living room, please?
They must be on strike, madam.
Who?
The printers of your paper.
What are you talking about, Robert?
The boy didn't leave it.
Yes, he did. Look, I'm not Ingrid Bergman. You're not Charles Boyer. This isn't Gaslight. Give me my paper.
But he left a different one instead, madam.
Well, give it to me. I mean, I'd die without my morning paper. I'll read anything.
No, madam.
Why not?
This one is far too salacious, madam.
Robert, give me that paper.
Yes, madam.
No, are you crazy? This is my paper.
Is it? So it is, madam. I do apologize.
Robert!
Could I have part of it to read, madam?
What happened to your paper? Don't you...
I cancelled the order, madam. It was getting far too left-wing.
What, the Daily Telegraph?
And the Times and the Guardian, the Express and the Mail and the Sun and the Mirror.
What about the Morning Star?
Oh, even the Morning Star, madam.
Would you give me my paper, please, Robert?
But you said I could have part of it to read.
You have this, and I'll have that. Thank you. Hello? Yeah, Paul. Yes, I've got it. What? Wait a minute. Hold on. What page? Yeah, well, you'll have to hold it while I look. 6. Here we go. Hello? Hello, Paul? How to become a critic competition. Wait a minute. Where am I? Where am I? Dorothy McNabb. Dorothy McNabb. Here. Dorothy McNabb's thrillers are about as... Robert, have you seen this?
As a special treat, madam, I've made you an American waffle.
Robert, did you know about this?
Know about what, madam?
This competition, this How to Become a Critic competition. Look, read it, read it.
The first prize goes to a criticism of the films of Ken Russell in the style of Alexander Walker.
No. Keep going. Just keep going.
And the second prize goes to a criticism of British musicals in the style of Milton Schumann.
That's not it. Get to me, to me.
Oh, there's a third prize, madam. The third prize goes to a criticism of the novels of Dorothy McNabb in the style of Oberon Waugh.
Robert, you knew about this. I can tell by the look in your eye. What I want to know is how you knew.
Well, I was forewarned, madam, by a fan of yours on the editorial staff, and didn't want you to see it. He was afraid you might be upset.
Yes, well, he was dead right. Just go on, read on further. See for yourself.
As a thriller writer, Dorothy McNabb is not worth her weight in eyeshadow. Dorothy McNabb's thrillers are not bad if you aren't looking for a cure for insomnia. It's very witty, madam.
It's garbage. Why, it's not even a good parody of Oberon Waugh.
You mustn't take it seriously, madam. I was only a joke.
A joke, my foot. This is about as funny as World War III. Wait a minute, I forgot to look at who wrote this cockamamie. Uh-oh. Are you ready for this? Look. Humilitas.
It's Latin, madam, for humility.
Should have signed it Charlie Coward, because that's what that guy is. He's too damn scared to sign his own name.
Well, he could have been a woman, madam.
No, this is definitely a man hitting out at a career woman. Boy, I'd give a cookie to know who's behind this.
I deny it, madam.
Oh. You stop being silly, Robert. You'd think I was accusing you.
I couldn't write anything nearly as witty as that, madam.
Listen to this. Dorothy McNabb's thrillers are about as spine-tingling as Julie Andrews on The Muppet Show. Just wait till I get my hands on this guy.
Waffle, madam.
What?
You are not eating your waffle.
I'm not hungry.
It's just as you like it, madam. Soaked in maple syrup.
I'd like to soak humilitas in maple syrup.
Yes.
You get the door, I'll get the phone.
Mr. McNabb?
No, Mrs. McNabb's butler.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There's no need to be. It has its compensations.
Tell me, have you read this rubbish?
That's not rubbish. It's very cleverly written.
It's a malicious libel. I know about these things.
Are you a solicitor?
No, I'm chairwoman of the local literary circle. I do hope Mrs. McNabb hasn't read this. She was to join our little soiree this evening. And that's really why I'm here. I wonder, could she spare me a second of her time?
Just 1 moment.
It's Mrs. Barcher.
Thank you very much. That was the editor.
Yeah?
He knows who Humilitas is.
Oh.
But he's not letting on.
Ah.
But don't you worry, I'll find out who that son of a biscuit eater is if it's the last thing I do.
Yes, ma'am.
He's not going to get away with this.
No, madam. There's a Mrs. Barcher in the hall, madam.
Who?
From the local literary society.
Oh, what in the world is she? Well, never mind. Show her in.
This way, madam. Mrs. Barcher.
My dear, I just had to come and commiserate.
Why? What seems to be the trouble?
Well, this is.
Oh, don't be silly. I find that all rather amusing.
I know who wrote it.
Who?
Well, another thriller writer. Someone who's jealous of Mrs. McNabb's genius.
Ah, a cup of coffee and a piece of brioche for Mrs. Barger.
Were you very upset when you read it?
No, it takes more than a thing like that to upset me. What are you waiting for, Robert? A tip?
But it must have made you angry.
Me angry? Never.
You aren't angry?
Of course I'm not angry.
But it's so brutal.
Well, you see, Mrs. Barcher, I have an inner security that it does not allow me to upset myself over some dumb bunny who hasn't got anything better to do than to lash out at someone whose talent infuriates him to such a point that he proceeds to undermine said talent with such lies that he hasn't got the sense or the guts to sign his own name.
I don't believe you.
Oh, it's perfectly true. May I quote you, madam?
Quote you? Oh, don't tell me he's Boswell to your Dr. Johnson. Oh, that's fascinating.
Milk and sugar.
No, thank you.
It's perfectly true. Mrs. McNabb never stopped chuckling all the time she was reading that critique. She then said to me, "You know, Robert, this is the wittiest and most brilliant pastiche it has been my privilege to peruse." Isn't that what you said, madam?
Something like that.
Well, all I can say is you must have a hide like leather, Mrs. McNabb.
She has.
And you don't honestly mind criticism?
No, you know what they say, Mrs. Barcher. Good or bad, as long as they mention my name.
Well, then I thought you'd be so upset you wouldn't want to come this evening.
Au contraire, I would miss it for the world.
Oh, but that's marvelous, because it means that I shan't have to veto some of the questions. We do rather encourage trenchant criticism, and 3 or 4 of our members do find your writing technique a little irritating at times. We are going to enjoy ourselves this evening. We start at 7 o'clock, and everybody present will read a passage from her latest as yet unpublished work.
How many ladies will there be tonight, Mrs. Barcher?
Oh, usually about 20. And then you'll be asked to criticize what you've heard, and after that it'll be our turn to ask questions of a critical nature. Would you like to know what mine's going to be? It'll amuse you.
I'm sure it will.
Apropos your last book, Mrs. McNabb, do you feel, as I do, that perhaps you're written out? I must be trotting along. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Oh, dear.
I'll give her an answer that'll make her hair stand up. Who do these literary ladies think they are, anyway?
You shouldn't have pretended that you liked criticism, madam.
I'm not going to give Mrs. Barcher or anybody else the satisfaction of knowing that I'm affected in any way by this childish mudslinging.
You should be used to it by now, madam.
I'll have you know, Robert, there are critics in the United States that happen to adore my books.
Your mother in West Virginia.
You say a word against my mother. She thinks my books are terrific and she doesn't even read them. Wait a minute, Robert. Cecil Gurney's on that paper, isn't he?
Do you know him?
Know him? I adore him, and he adores me. And he thinks my books are brilliant to boot. He'll tell me who Humilitas is.
Surely he'll be sworn to secrecy, madam.
Now, if you've got a well-kept secret and you want the world to know, tell Cecil.
Somebody at the door, madam.
Well, answer it.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Robert. Congratulations, Robert. You've surpassed yourself.
Don't I normally open the door in this manner?
Regarding your criticism of a certain author whose thrillers we publish.
Who told you, sir?
Cecil Gurney. Does Madam know yet?
No, sir.
Robert!
Yes, sir. Excuse me, sir.
You wrote this.
Merely as a form of intellectual therapy, madam.
I'll give you therapy.
I never expected it to win third prize, madam.
That is not the point.
It's only a competition, madam. It doesn't mean anything.
Does it mean anything? What is my publisher's editor doing at my home at 8 o'clock in the morning? Come back here. Where are you going?
Out for a walk, madam. Hopefully, by the time I return, you will be seeing things in their proper perspective.
I can't believe it. I just can't believe it that even Robert would do a thing like this. Have you ever read anything like it in your entire life?
Actually, I thought it was extremely well written.
I beg your pardon?
I adore pungency.
Pungency, smungency. Do you realize what this could do to the sale of my books all over the UK?
Well, we do have trouble with your hardbacks.
Oh, come on, knock it off, Paul. Maybe so, but my paperbacks sell like hotcakes over here.
Paradoxically, Robert's criticism could help boost the hardback sales. Potential readers may be intrigued enough to say, surely her books can't be that bad.
Oh, that is very funny, Paul. I mean, come on, sympathize with me some more.
But you hate sympathy, you know you do.
Wait a minute, what are you doing here?
I simply wondered if Robert had ever thought of writing a novel.
Robert, write a book.
Well, on the strength of his pastiche, I'd be willing to commission him.
Paul, are you out of your mind? Back so soon,
I
Robert?
couldn't help overhearing, madam. Where are you going?
I'll tell you where I'm going, if the two of you will excuse me. I have some work to do on one of my boring books that keeps you in malt whiskey, smoked salmon, an occasional quiche Lorraine, not to mention your bookmakers, your cricket matches, a flat of your own with central heating, a garden, 18 geraniums, and a monogrammed doormat. One more thing before I go.
Yes, madam.
May I have your autograph?
Yes, well, you did mention a commission.
I don't mean to interrupt, but who do you have to know to get a cup of coffee around here?
I'm sorry, madam. We were in conference.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Robert.
I trust you'll give him time off to write, Dorothy.
Never let it be said that I stood in the way of a budding genius. Why don't I get the coffee? That'd be a fun switch. I mean, I'll be the butler and you be the writer.
I couldn't possibly agree to that, madam.
What's the matter, Robert? Beginning to realize your limitations?
You can't cook.
I've got a hunch I can cook about as well as you can write.
I did win third prize, madam.
What does that make you, Ernest Hemingway?
Did you win third prize?
Dorothy, have you sent this latest manuscript to your New York publisher yet?
No, why?
Well, I shouldn't.
Why?
Why did you make all the characters English?
I don't know. I got bored. I thought it'd make a nice change.
It's so obvious.
Well, stereotypes, are they? May I?
Oh, here we go.
Now, he has proved he's got critical talent, Dorothy. He might be able to help you.
Yes, well, I can see what you mean, yes.
How far along have you read there, Robert?
First line of dialogue, madam.
Hello, Gwendolyn. I'm Inspector Galsworthy.
Yes, but he wouldn't say that, madam.
What do you want him to say? Goodbye, Gwendolyn. I'm Inspector Galsworthy.
He wouldn't say anything at all, madam, and she wouldn't say that. And he wouldn't say that, and she
Hey,
wouldn't
I
say
think
that.
we're on to something here, Robert.
Yeah?
Yes. I mean, why don't I write a silent book? I mean, Mel Brooks wrote a silent movie. Why don't I write a silent book?
Could be the answer, madam.
It's a terrific idea. A book with no words.
Your critics would like it, madam.
I've got an idea. Why don't you two collaborate on this one?
You've got to be cartooning.
I was most impressed with his writing, Dorothy, and he does know more about England and his people than you do. What are your feelings, Robert?
Yes, well, you know what happened to collaborators during the war? They were shot.
Don't tempt me.
Does the idea appeal to you?
Yes, well, it would be an uphill struggle, but I would enjoy the challenge.
Paul, are you crazy?
Well, why not, Dorothy? This is the first time you've written about England in the English, and it doesn't come off. Which is a pity, because it's got a lot going for it. Maybe Robert could put you on the right track. Anyway, it's an idea. I'll leave it with you.
If you don't mind my saying, sirs, I would rather that Mrs. McNabb did not collaborate on my novel.
I'm expecting great things of you, Robert.
You won't be disappointed, son. You did mention a commission.
Goodbye, Dorothy.
Would there be an advance? Do you think he heard what I said, madam?
Of course he heard you. He's gone, isn't he?
He probably wants to get my signature on a contract before the other publishers start queuing up for my services. Yes, but now, if you'll excuse me, madam, I'll start work on my own novel.
You do that, Robert. Robert.
Yes?
I'd like luncheon today at 12:30.
With due respect, madam, luncheon may be a little late. So much depends on the muse.
Will the muse be paying your salary at the end of the month?
Luncheon will be at 12:30. May I ask your advice, madam?
About what?
Before I actually set pen to paper, do you think I should go out and buy myself a smoking jacket?
What?
Well, I'm an author now, madam. I was wondering if I should grow a beard.
Now I know why my books don't sell as well as they should over here. I don't have a smoking jacket, and I find it a little difficult to grow a beard. Now, if you'll excuse me, Robert, I have work to do. Why don't you just go and write your masterpiece?
Which it will be, madam. It's all in here. It only has to be put down on paper. Which reminds me, madam, may I,
Oh, yes, be my guest.
I'll need the services of a typist eventually, madam. If you're interested, I shall be paying normal rates.
God give me strength.
I wonder if a pipe might help me to concentrate, madam. I was thinking of J.B. Priestley.
I'm sure he'd be pleased. Good luck, Robert.
I don't need luck, madam. I have talent. Who is it, madam?
I brought your tea, Tolstoy.
Thank you. How very kind, madam.
Isn't this a fun game? You be me and I'll be you. Now, let's see what you've written.
It's private, madam.
Robert, how do you ever expect to be a famous author if you won't show anybody what you've written? You haven't written anything.
Yes, I have, madam.
Now, where is it? I love your filing system. Did you order a car for us for this evening, Robert?
Us, madam? Do you wish me to accompany you?
You bet I do. I mean, if you're going to enter into the world of literature, it's high time you found out what it was all about.
Yes. Well, very well, madam.
Sigh, but do not die, for that would be a lie to those who gave you truth when you were in your youth and love was all around.
Pathetic. Shh. And that was the best.
Thank you. And now, Dorothy McNabb.
Oh.
Now, Mrs. McNabb, if you'd be good enough to criticize what you've just heard, remember, we can take it.
Oh, yes. And then perhaps you would explain why our work isn't published and yours is.
Hers is rubbish, dear.
Mrs. Barcher, friends, I think for me to criticize any of your literary efforts this evening would be a total waste of time, in view of the fact that we have with us here tonight a most distinguished literary critic. Humilitas. Robert,
He is humilitas.
the one and only.
Then he's not Boswell. He's Hazlitt. Oh, but that's marvelous. This is an honor.
We've all read the pastiche. We would consider it a privilege if you would criticize us in a similar manner.
Yes. Now, please be ruthless.
You want the truth?
Oh,
Yes.
You're quite sure?
Oh, yes, of course. How else can we grow?
No holds barred.
No holds barred.
The dialogue in the stage play I found banal.
Banal? Do you know the meaning of the word?
Yes? Boring.
Pardon me. It may be many things. It certainly is not boring.
The novel I found totally incomprehensible.
That is arithmetic. nonsense.
The intricacies of the plot would have confused a computer.
If I may say so, you must have a particularly low IQ.
Here, here.
I hope there's a back door. I think you're going to need it.
Yes, please. We did ask Humilitas to be ruthless, did we not?
Well, now, as to that dirge you called a poem,
It was not a dirge. It was a cry from the heart.
it didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense to you because you're obviously a Philistine.
Take the first line. Sigh, but do not cry.
Die, man, die.
I think you need to, Robert. If I were you, I'd make a 20-yard dash to the nearest exit, and I'll cover you.
I am not one to run away from amateur writers, madam.
What are you then?
Yes. How many books have you had published?
Well, you did ask me to criticize your work.
But you just proved that you know nothing whatsoever about it.
I did win third prize.
Why? Were there only 3 entries?
Personally, I found your piece quite vulgar.
Vulgar.
And so self-indulgent.
How dare you?
I thought it putrid.
I beg your pardon?
If I were Mr. War, I'd sue you for false pretenses.
It is quite obvious that you can't write.
Give him a break. It takes time to grow a beard.
You are a fraud, sir.
A charlatan.
I thought you wanted constructive criticism.
Yes, constructive, not destructive.
You're a destroyer.
You're the Marquis de Sade.
Well, who are you, Lucretia Borgia? Lydia? The witches of Salem?
Chauvinist pig.